Darren Levine here with a bit of news. Canon has announced the C100 Mark II, which I've been looking forward to as a C100 Mark I shooter for quite some time now. I love this camera, but it has plenty of quirks, and thankfully Canon has addressed a lot of those quirks. First off being the monitoring. I was never really a fan of either of these monitors, and what they did with the Mark II, they ditched this hinge, they put the hinge on the side so you can actually articulate it in all the different directions. Thank you for doing that. They also put buttons on the screen and also another menu dial or nipple button on there as well, which is great if you want to detach the handle to keep the size or weight down. The EVF, they ditched this completely. They put in one that tilts, has a proper eye cup, and has also a nicer resolution and size, so you can actually use it, hopefully, to good effect. Because this one is, and if you ever use this eye cup, or rather this EVF and the C100 Mark I, it's usable, but not by much. So great that they upgraded that. Thank you. What else they did is they put a built-in mic on the body itself. If you've ever wanted to use a C100 without the top handle, there's no way to get reference audio or scratch audio without plugging a microphone into this port like I've got here now. And this is the smallest mic I could find that's actually powered, because you can't just plug a laptop mic or cheap little mic into there because it doesn't have the little bit of residual power that's necessary. So this is the best solution I've got, which has worked fine, but nice that the Mark II would have a mic built in so you can just get that crappy little reference scratch audio that is oh so useful. Autofocus, built in, no longer need to buy it as a separate upgrade like you did with the Mark I. Wi-Fi, built in, dual band, nice, but I'm curious to see just how useful the application is for that. Now, of course, we got to talk about the codec. This is not a 4K camera. It just, I don't want to refer to this. The Mark II is not going to be a 4K camera, which is a little odd. A lot of people are confused as to why Canon's putting out professional 1080 cameras when other manufacturers are really focusing a lot on 4K. Now, let's be clear, 1080 is still absolutely fantastic looking, and 4K, while it is the next progression, it might not be necessary for your needs. I've already determined that I'm not going to invest in any more 1080 equipment because I'm expecting a client here and there to ask for 4K, and I also do a lot of stock footage, which, you know, every little selling point you have matters, and 4K is going to be a selling point for potential buyers of stock footage. So for me personally, for my needs, I'm going to be going to 4K. But if you specifically have a need where you know you don't need it, then the Mark II is going to be a pretty nice camera to look at. It's going to cost $5,500, which, well, again, if it was a year ago, that would sound awesome. But you got other cameras coming out now, like the FS7 from Sony, which will cost more than that in the $8,000 area, but it does 10-bit 422 internal 4K, which blows this C100 Mark II spec-wise out of the water. But Canon's never been known to do bleeding-edge specs. They just build a solid camera, and for a lot of people, that's what you need, is just a solid camera. But again, depends on your needs. Now, the codec they put in here, you got the same AVC HD, and you also have MP4. And you can get a little bit more bitrate out of it. They put up to 35 megabit, which is a nice little bump, but other manufacturers are going up higher than that. So again, Canon behind what the average specs are for cameras coming out at any particular time. But you also at least get up to 60p. You get that 60 frames per second slow motion, which is nice to have. Again, other manufacturers are giving you more than that these days, but you really can't do anything. It's just what Canon's going to do. So they do put out the quality cameras, but you got to make sure the specs work for your needs. And that is pretty much it. There's not much else to say yet. Obviously, I haven't had my hands on the camera yet. I am curious to try it out just to see what it feels like, but it looks pretty straightforward. It's the same sensor as the Mark I. They say they're doing a bit different processing to get a better noise profile out of it and maybe a little bit better image quality, but as it is, I'm already satisfied with the Canon image quality. And if you're one of those people that have a specific look in mind or desire, like a lot of people like specifically the Canon look, a lot of people like the Sony look or like the Panasonic look, then that's what you're going to have to look forward to, unless you want to wait around for, there's supposedly a C300 Mark II coming out before or by NAB. So we're all hearing that that's going to be 4K, wondering what the price point's going to be, and just got to wait and see what that's going to be. Other news, there's really not much going on except a bunch of other products I got to review and show you. There's a MogoPod Mark III, along with the waist crane kit thing. Got a Camera, nice looking EVF, or viewfinder loop I gotta review and show you. got some nice new cans, Sennheiser 280s. Got to review those. And of course, the camera you see me on is the Panasonic FZ1000, or FZ if you're across the pond, which is a nice little 4K camera that costs $800. I'll get into this later, but just went to see a NASA rocket launch, and this was the camera I chose to pick up last minute and take along with me. So I'm actually uploading that video right now. You can go and take a look at. So that is it for the news, and I'm Darren, and go look at some cameras.